Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to podcast number 97 of the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. I'm your host, Enrique. I have a great show for you guys tonight, and we are joined by a special guest tonight, Zach of Bear Claw Gaming. Zach, what's going on, man?
Hey, yeah, not a whole heck of a lot. Really glad to be here. Like I was just saying, we've talked about trying to have me on in the past, and I'm just really happy we finally got to make that happen. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we're glad we finally got the chance to connect, man. So I know it's we've been having conversations for the last couple months trying to get you on. So definitely appreciate the time, man.
Of course, happy to be here.
Yeah, and hey, I just want a big shout out to Tom Izzo. That's all I got to say.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. We're not doing so well right now, but that's okay.
That's okay, man. Yeah, it's funny. When you told me where you go to school, and I actually have a buddy who went there, and so, we have kind of a friendly rivalry now that that Maryland's in the Big Ten. So yeah, there was a game a couple years ago in the NCAA tournament, I think, where Michigan State won against Maryland like the last second or something.
Okay, so the rivalry has quite a bit of fuel. Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I've always admired Izzo. Just because I don't know, it just seems like a good guy. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Even when they're not doing well, everybody seems to like him enough.
Yeah. So and plus, he's been one of those teams. He's had teams that have taken it to Duke, and I'm just not a big Duke fan.
No. Yeah.
So, So we have B Money in the house. I don't know if you can hear us. He may have.
Yo, hey, what's going on, people?
Hey,
what's up, B? B, have you met Zach? Have you guys? I don't know if you guys have interacted on Twitter or chatted before.
We have in the past. It's been a while though.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Awesome. Well, B Money, I call you the truth. That's my new nickname for you on Brap. You don't tell people what they want to hear. You tell them what they need to hear.
That's right, man.
Yeah. It is good to see you again, B. Eric Jackson may or may not be joining us tonight. Bella Rise is supposed to be joining us, which is strange because she's never late, like never late, and she's one that will kind of bust chops a little bit if you start a podcast 2 minutes late. So hopefully she's okay, and hopefully she'll be joining us shortly as well. So, gentlemen, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I didn't think that this show we'd have a lot of like recent like new game breaking news, but we did today, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I got to change some of the topics now or tweak some of the topics for tonight's show. So before we do that, I want to do something, and I don't do it every podcast, but I just want to kind of talk briefly or quickly about what everyone's playing right now. So Zach, as you are a special guest this evening, what are you currently playing right now?
Yeah. So what I've been playing a lot of is I'm always on PUBG. Mostly on PC these days. The Xbox version is not quite smooth enough for me. But then after yesterday, I've been playing Far Cry 2 for the first time on Xbox. So those are the two games I've really been on lately. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry there. You know what? It's really weird. My Hangouts the chat just froze up on me.
Oh no. Okay. Did you hear what I said, or did it cut out?
The last thing I heard was you haven't been playing PUBG on Xbox?
Yeah. Sorry about that. PUBG on PC primarily, and then Far Cry 2 a lot.
Yeah, I selfishly, Zach, I've been hoping to see you on PUBG on Xbox because as many of you know, and I talk about this a lot, it was my birthday, and we teamed up on PUBG. And seriously, Zach had like 13 kills, killed everyone in like the whole map pretty much.
Yeah, you and I managed to clean up really well on that game. Like everything went well. That was wild.
I don't know about me cleaning up. I think I had like 0 kills, but that's okay. I know I did a pretty decent job of pointing people out, and
you kept them suppressed at the very least.
I was doing that. I was keeping them honest because there was a couple times where they were shooting at us, and I kind of fire back at them to keep them honest a little bit. Hit them with a little suppressive fire. But that was a great game. It was close. and yeah, I got a chicken dinner on my birthday. So yeah, man. It's like I said, selfishly, I'm looking to if I see you back on there, you'll probably get an invite for me. So
I'm happy to play. Just they gotta fix that rubber banding for me first.
yeah, you know what's crazy? That actually got me killed, and I was in the top 7. There's 7 of us left, and I was trying to run out of a house.
Shots you back. Yep.
Yep, and I got killed.
Yeah. Yep. That in combination with the frame rate right now is just making the Xbox version a bit of a challenge for me. But it'll get there, I'm sure.
Now, are you playing on the S or are you playing on the 1X?
1X.
1X, yeah. Well, I can't even imagine playing on the S.
Oh no, yeah, I wouldn't even bother at this point.
Wow. All right, so then PUBG on PC, and you said Far Cry?
Yeah, Far Cry 2. I haven't played it before, and so it was. I picked it up yesterday because it's on sale this week, and it also just hit back compat. So yeah, I've just been kind of dabbling in that.
Nice. All right. So is that it in terms of games then?
That's pretty much it. I've been pretty busy.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. B Money, what about you, man? I know you've been busy.
Yeah, man. I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, of course, on a Switch. Just trying to get that wrapped up, man. Just put in about 130 something hours into it. Just grinding and leveling up and whatnot. Expanding my party. So really enjoying that game. And then trying to finish Wolfenstein. I'm like 85% done. Wolfenstein 2. So I'll probably wrap that up either tonight or tomorrow. And then because of all the hype and so many people talking about Fable, man, I went and jumped back in Fable 3 today and started playing that again. So that's pretty much what I've been playing.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Let me ask you something with Xenoblade Chronicles, and I think John mentioned this a couple weeks ago on Brap too. Are you kind of having the same issues that I've read other people have issues with the map and everything? Is that kind of been frustrating for you? Or are you kind of just like whatever with it?
No, like the map isn't frustrating for me because I just fast travel everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So once I get to a landmark, if I need to go back somewhere, I just fast travel, and it takes me, a couple of seconds to get whatever I need to get or upgrade. So the map really isn't that bad for me. It's not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, because that's just one of the. I'm asking because I haven't played the game, and I know it's like one of the complaints or issues that I've heard with the game. So I was just curious. Other than that, I've heard it's a fairly strong. Fairly strong game. Something I might pick up down the road. I'm just so backlogged right now. I don't know if I could put 100 and something hours into another game. I did a lot of that earlier this year. So, well, that's awesome. You went back to Fable 3, man.
Yeah, man. Try to rekindle that love for RPGs that I have on the Xbox. There's not too many that I played, so I had to go back to Fable, and a lot of people were talking about Fable and the rumors and whatnot, and just wanted to revisit it, and I think it's held up well. Been playing it on the X. Looks pretty decent.
Not enhanced yet, though.
No, not enhanced. The one thing that I probably don't really like about going back to it is like all the traveling and whatnot, since there's like no like horses or like any other way to get around besides just running, or you can, slightly fast travel depending on where you're going or whatever. But traversal is a little annoying, but other than that, it's still a solid game.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed Fable 3. 2 was okay. I thought 1 was probably the best, but I enjoyed it. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I think we'll get into the Fable news here shortly. As I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited by what we heard today. So, but we'll get into that shortly. So is that it, B Money, in terms of games?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I just trying to get those couple games wrapped up, man, before Monster Hunter gets here.
Ooh, that's right. Monster Hunter comes soon.
Yeah.
Ooh, I saw a commercial for it the other day. Piqued my interest.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. I might have to pick it up.
Looks good, man. I miss getting video game commercials. I don't have cable at school, and so like I just never see TV ads anymore. Oh man, but no, I think Monster Hunter is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it, and it'll be interesting to see how that performs on a Microsoft platform.
Yeah.
I want to see it enhanced.
Yeah, it's if it's following what the pro's doing, apparently it's going to have 3 modes, which is visuals, resolution, and there's like a little kind of intermediate between those two, which is cool. I like when they give us options. I that's what I like the most about PC.
Yeah, I'd like to see that more in some other console games, that that option to like a performance mode, like kind of like they did the Witcher 3.
Right.
Yeah, that 4K, yeah, that performance mode. I like to see more developers do that. I love that. I think it's a great option to have. The more options, the better is what I say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I am currently playing PUBG on the Xbox One X, and kind of shared my story earlier about the rubber banding issues. Those are still there. I will say this though, Zach. I remember you saying that when you were playing by yourself, kind of a good way to kind of, I guess, practice, or kind of get the mechanics down, and I guess learn the map. And so I've definitely, just going solo, like I've definitely gotten better in that regard. But some of those issues, those technical issues, have prevented me from moving further, and that's been a little frustrating. But it's still fun. I mean, I certainly can see the appeal to it. I think it's it's just one of those games. It's just, you could just pick up and play, and if you put it down for a week, you're not really missing out on anything. You're not stepping into a situation where you're competing against guys that have been leveling up their weapons or their character classes. So I like that. It for, I think, my life right now, and having kids and being busy and work and all that other fun stuff. I think it's kind of what the doctor ordered right now, which is interesting. So
yeah, and I've talked this game to death all around. But I mean, one of the things that I love about it is that it is a casual game in the way that you're describing, which is you cannot play it for 2 months and come back and quickly knock the rust off. But similarly, like it doesn't feel casual when you play it in the same way that some games like Call of Duty might, right? Like each match feels very intense and focused, but it doesn't demand that you constantly play it to maintain your skill, and I think that's what makes the game so accessible.
Exactly. I mean, like, just you're right. Like, even like things as simple as like like if you go to a different town, like, you're not going to always get the same weapon spawns or vehicle spawns. And the location of the circles on the map changes, and so it's almost literally a different experience almost every round you play.
Right.
It's funny. Like, I don't know why I did this, but I forget what town I was jumping into. I jumped into the same town, like 3 times in a row. The first 2 times, nobody was jumping in, right? And I was getting good, it was crazy. I was getting good loot. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back a third time. Third time I did it, I felt like half the people in the plane jumped in that one town, and I immediately got killed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that happens all the time. Pachinki is notorious for people doing that. Yeah, no, I love that though, because and I think this is one of the things I usually encourage people who are new to the game is, especially if you're playing in solo, rush into cities where everybody goes, because you'll die a lot, but you also get, the more times you're in a tight situation where you're trying to fight someone, the better you'll get over time. And no, what you're describing is smart. Going to those cities is a good way to get good.
Yeah, and it actually helps you when you're at the end, when it's 4 or 5 of you, and you guys are in tight quarters, because that circle shrinks, and it's you really can't almost avoid each other,
right?
And so having that experience from going into a big city with a lot of people and it's close quarter combat, that definitely helps. When you're trying to get your chicken dinner. So
right.
Yeah, it's just fun. I'm just having fun with it. So so that, and then I've been also, actually, speaking of Call of Duty, believe it or not, I've been actually went back and started playing the campaign mode again, because I wanted to run through that, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I was playing Destiny. Oh, actually, no, I've been playing Dishonored 2. I started playing that again. I picked it up. Yeah, it's a great game. Picked it up and then put it down for a little bit and decided to go back to it. And it's just crazy. I went back to it because it got the 4K enhancement, money. So that's why I went back. But it's a great game. I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. Sometimes I think the stealth elements of the game are a little bit too difficult. Like I feel like the guards can like sense you too easily.
Yeah, it's a brutally tough game. Yeah, I'll give you that for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of frustrating, but
like level design wise though, and just some of the world building going on in that is like I love the steampunk vibe in that game, and talking about X enhancement, like there are some games where the enhancements feel a little bit more nuanced, not as obvious, but I felt like that was night and day. That game on X enhancements. Dishonored 2 looks great on the new Xbox.
Oh, it does. I mean, I originally played it on the S and immediately noticed a difference. I was like perched up like on a building or something. I remember looking down the street and I was just taking pictures because I was just like, oh my God, this looks incredible.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. The level design of that game is incredible.
Yep. That developer Arcane is very good at that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Arcane is very special. One of my favorite developers.
Same.
Yeah, I feel like they don't get enough props.
Well, no, they don't. Nobody buys their games, and that's the problem. They released Dishonored 2, Prey, and Death of the Outsider within a year, and all of them flopped, which is tragic because they're incredible games.
I have not played Prey because I heard mixed things about Prey.
I mean, Prey is similar in that great level design, great mechanics, but struggles because the combat, in my opinion, is kind of poor.
Mm-hmm.
And the game has, like, compared to Dishonored, you're forced into like these kind of engagements, and like basically like it embraces its worst flaw, which is combat. But it's a gorgeous game, and you can usually find it pretty cheap these days. So I encourage everybody to at least try it. In fact, they've got free demos, I think, on Xbox and Steam and PlayStation. So it's a good game.
I might have to try it then. I might have to at least try the free demo.
Yeah.
I was a little skeptical on the game because I heard some people say some poor things about it, but I may check it out. Bella, what's going on?
Enrique, hello.
Welcome to Brab. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well. I think we had a little slight communication issue earlier. I thought you didn't go live for another 40 minutes. So I got the invite to the podcast. I was already 3/4 of the way off to where my partner works. It's like super hot over here in Australia at the moment. So I was taking in a bunch of frozen fruit and icy poles to my partner and all these co-workers because they're working in the sun. So yeah, that's why I'm like legit excuse.
No worries. And that sounds like margarita weather down there, by the way.
It really, really does. It also sounds like this weather. I don't know whether you can hear it.
If I can hear what?
Beer.
Yeah,
really
right.
Good beer,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, well, welcome back, Bella. It's appreciate you having you come on. It was kind of a last minute type thing, so definitely appreciate your time. Thank you again.
You are most welcome.
So, we were just talking about games that we're playing right now. So, what are you currently playing right now?
I'm playing one game and one game only, and I know that that's going to shock the shit out of you because normally I come here with a long list of multiple games that I'm playing across a variety of different platforms. Yep. One game has absolutely captivated my attention for the last probably, I think I've been playing it pretty solid for 3 weeks now, is Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah, I see you playing it a lot on Xbox. Putting a lot of work there.
Yeah, that's all I'm playing. Yeah, so I'm completely maxed out on level, finished the story. I've done all the side missions. The DLC isn't meant to be out until the 23rd, but somehow I was able to download it early, so I'm already hooking into the DLC, which is awesome. So yeah, loving this game.
Wow, I can't believe I can believe that because I think when Final Fantasy 15 came out, I feel like you were kind of just focused on that game for a while.
Yeah, that was pretty much my life, and still I feel the pull that will never fade. Like it's always back in my mind. It's like, what should I play today? Should I redo Final Fantasy 15 for the 7th time? Yeah, I love that game. Assassin's Creed Origin just completely took me by surprise. As with many other people, I've been tired of the franchise for quite some long time. Some very replicated mechanics, some just no real motivating story plot changes. It's just the same old thing. You know, go here, kill this, side mission, bad AI. Origins really has addressed a lot of the issues. I mean, even simple things like being able to pick up the enemies of the people that the weapons of the enemies that you've killed. Simple things like that they've addressed has really changed the game. And I've been hooked. If you can get me in the first probably, I'd say 2 or 3 hours, if you can get me sitting there going, honey, close the blinds, we're going to be here all day, you've got me for about another 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how many hours have you put in the game so far?
Oh, look, I'd have to check, but it's somewhere between the vicinity of 80 to 100.
Holy shit. Yeah, you put in some work.
Yeah.
So you're not I would imagine you're close to completing the game though.
I've completed the game. I'm running around just doing extra stuff and finding secret hidden stuff and doing all the Easter eggs. The DLC's just come out. Okay. So my partner and I tonight, the goal is we're going to sit down and go through that. There's these Phylax that you have to kill. They're these really powerful enemy things. There's a few of them scattered around the map. I kind of left that for last, and so did he. So we went through and cleared that out last night. So our treat tonight is to really delve into the DLC. We're quite excited. We got like finger food organized, so there's no cooking. It's just get in the front door, have a shower, sit down in front of the Xbox.
And eat some food.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Don't even take the eyes of the TV. Just like fumble around the desk between us. Oh,
yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I got to get back to it. I have it. I've only put like a few hours into it and just stopped playing it for whatever reason. It's a beautiful game, by the way. I mean,
it's absolutely stunning. And if you get back to it for no other reason than to find out where Assassin's Creed all began, I urge you to do it.
Yeah, that's why I need to get back to it. And B Money, as you know, that game is enhanced.
Yes, I know.
So at some point I'll get back to it. So Bella, the running joke now is B Money and Eric. They say that I am a what is it, gold
chain gamer, man.
Yes, I'm a gold chain gamer because I only look at the enhanced section of the Xbox store now because I have an X. So
gotta justify that purchase.
Yeah, yeah, no, I do, right? $500, right? So, but yeah, that's good to hear, though. I got to get back to it, and I will eventually. I hope, and put some time into it. So,
so that's sort of walking encyclopedia of where to go and find everything and how to get all the secret weapons and armor and stuff at your disposal here. So hit me up if you get stuck.
Yeah, I'll probably take you up on that offer. Probably get you in a party chat and have you walk me through some things. So,
oh my God, it's Destiny all over again.
No, it was Destiny. There was another game you were helping me with too, I think. Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15. I remember that.
I feel like I should be sending you bills, man. Like, here's a check. 40 hours of my time.
Yeah, exactly. So, real quick, before we get to our first topic, I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Great seeing everyone. We have Salty's Gaming's in the house. What's up, Salty's? Chicken Spaghetti. Saw Frankie earlier, Justin, and Chief Tommy. If I'm missing anyone, I apologize, but great to see everyone. Remember, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. So let's get to our first topic of the evening. Fable. Fable. So Fable is apparently being worked on by Playground Studios. And looks like it's going to be an open world version of Fable. And I don't know about you guys, but I am really freaking excited about this. I think this is great news. I am a fan of the Fable franchise. I think, I remember when Fable was first announced, but it was called something else. It was Project. Do you guys remember what it was back in the original Xbox when Peter Molyneux first started talking about Fable before it was Fable?
No, I've replaced my brain space with more important things.
like Assassin's Creed and
like shit I don't need to remember from 12 years ago, but please continue.
Yeah. Anyhow, it was called Project something, and I just remember how ambitious Peter Molyneux's vision for the game was, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. And so I've been a big fan, and so when Fable got canceled, I was kind of like, oh, this sucks. And I actually was not in the beta. Were any of you guys in the beta?
Yep.
You guys,
Legends. Yeah.
Fable Legends.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So how was it? Like I obviously never got the chance to play it.
I think most of the free world was in the Fable Legends beta, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they ran that better for like a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something. I probably played 2 or 3 hours of it across a couple months with various groups of people. It was fine. It felt free to play. It felt half baked, and my time that I spent with it was a couple months in between, and I didn't notice a ton of improvement. It felt like a lost project, and I think that's kind of how a lot of people felt about it by the time it was canceled.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they didn't know what direction to take the game. I thought they had like a decent concept, but as more and more games tried to use that same concept and failed, they were kind of having the same fate, and we see what happened. The game got canceled. So
and Microsoft shut down Lionhead. So
yeah,
as a result.
I didn't understand why everybody was so devastated when Fable Legend got cancelled, to be honest. I mean, it's always disappointing when a game gets cancelled. If you're looking forward to it, I can understand that. But this whole, it was like this outcry. I almost expected to see, like, turn on the 6 o'clock news and be like, well, tonight there's 500 people around the Microsoft store in Sydney, all with their candles out, and there's a vigil for Fable Legends. It was that dire. I couldn't understand why people were so upset. I know it's a beloved franchise, but the beta, like, it's not like you played the beta and walked away. I mean, Bear, you were just saying how you felt about it. It's not like you walked away from it going, oh my God, this is amazing. How do I ever live my life without this in it? You kind of play the beta and you're like, well, I mean, it's got potential. And that was all there was to it.
Yep. Well, and I think, and maybe it would have changed in the final product, but I think, like, one of the things that resonated with the original trilogy is that it had a very English sense of humor, and each character felt very personal. And the way the beta was set up is like no character had enough time to really feel personal. And it had the visuals of Fable, but it just didn't have any of the soul and spirit. And so, yeah, that was the thing. Like, everyone who played it was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, no one was passionate about it until it was canceled. That's
right. And nobody finds the English funny. So why would you put an English sense of humor in a game?
Oof. Oh boy. Yeah, that's I won't commit to that one. But yeah.
So it sounds like it was very disconnected from the Fable universe then, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. And like that's what's I guess that's just what's so interesting about them bringing it back so quickly. Is like, obviously after they closed Lionhead, everyone's like, no, we want more Fable, and now Microsoft is delivering on that. But then everyone's like, okay, but why did you close Lionhead? Which is, I guess, a fair question. I mean, in such short succession too, right? But maybe Playground had some ideas for their RPG, and Microsoft said that's a good idea, but why don't you do it for our RPG? And here's the Fable IP. Because I think that was the talk last year, was that Playground had an idea for an open world RPG. They brought it to Microsoft because they said, why don't you make this an exclusive? The story was that Microsoft turned them down. And so the thought was that it was going to be multi-plat, but clearly there's another conversation that happened with Fable.
And that's probably fair. I mean, that Microsoft obviously felt that Lionhead didn't do a good enough job, and felt like it just made sense to close down the studio. And then here comes.
But at the end of the day, who greenlit Fable Legends? Right. Did Microsoft greenlight Fable Legends? So if they presented that idea, they could have just shut it down from the start and say make Fable 4, but they didn't. So whose fault is that?
No, you're totally right.
No, I agree with you, B.
And I think a lot of people at the time wanted to give the excuse of, well, Phil Spencer didn't greenlight that, which is probably true, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. And that's the thing, right? Is like, part of me wants to say, well, maybe Lionhead didn't have the vision for a new Fable sequel, right? Like Legends was in development hell for like 2 years, 3 years, publicly facing, and maybe they didn't have the leadership to make Fable 4 happen. But like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Lionhead wasn't a talented dev team, right? There were tons of talented workers there, and I'm sure Playground's going to have great employees too, but it does seem crazy to fire, a staff of hundreds only to bring it back and help Playground restaff this new studio to bring on the game. It does seem kind of wild, despite me being excited for the return of the franchise.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like, why would they do that? Yeah, kind of doesn't make sense, I guess.
No, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if the game's good, like, I don't give a shit. But like the history, but like, it'll be something in 5 years where everyone will look back and be like, "Remember that time Microsoft shuttered a studio and then brought back their IP 2 years later? That was crazy, right?" But I mean, like the Eurogamer report suggested this morning, the game is years off, and so, if this leak hadn't happened, we might not have heard about it until next summer. Who knows? But we'll see. I mean, maybe they'll get it together and launch it in 2019.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. 2019 seems like
seems fucking close. Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe 2020. But now, didn't Playground bring some people from The Witcher 3?
They got people from everywhere, man.
Yeah, from other studios.
They got people from Horizon. They got people from Hellblade. They got people from there's another big game that they took people from The Witcher. So I mean, they definitely have been staffing up to make this a super epic game. It just we've never seen them do an RPG similar to what Guerrilla was doing with Killzone and transition to RPG. So they definitely have the potential. Forza Horizon series has been amazing. They continue to make it better and better each year. So it's super exciting to see what they could bring to the table, and it's nice because it's more of a reboot. So it's not something that we would expect. If it was Lionhead, kind of like in a direct sequel. So I'm sure this will be full-on reboot, and they'll put their own spin on it, and it may feel and play differently than how we remember. So
yeah. Is there anything specific that you guys might want to see with this version of Fable? Like maybe change in mechanics, or with an open world? You want to see maybe co-op with friends?
I definitely think they should have co-op. I think if they can still have like a solid single player experience, but I think if they can add a hub world similar to like Destiny or even Monster Hunter, where you can just link up with friends and go on different adventures and whatnot, I think that'd be cool too. And it also coincides with the games as a service model, where they can kind of keep that game going for a couple years, and it won't just be like the RPG that people pick up and set on a shelf once they're done. So
yeah, but if they're going to do co-op, they need to do it properly this time. None of this, oh, you have a hat that your friend doesn't have. You two can't play the same game together. That was tragic. That was just absolutely tragic. I'm like, are you serious with me right now? So like literally you'd have to go through the complete inventory of you and your friend and work out what item it was that you had that they didn't have and get rid of it. So at the end of the day, your best option was like, you know what? F it. Scratch my entire save file, start new, you start new too. Okay, let's fumble through. Oh, well, we've been stuffing around for the last hour and a half trying to get together. We got about 5 minutes to play. Let's make the most of it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that would be enjoyable at all.
It wasn't. It was really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
One of the things that I'd like to see them try to do is incorporate, and I think a lot of modern RPGs do this, thankfully, is incorporate Witcher 3 style's gray morality. I didn't like that. It felt like you were either doing inherent good or inherent bad a lot of the time in Fable, and I like, and it doesn't have to be a dark, heavy game, but I don't like it when every decision has an obvious, if I want to be the good guy, this is what I'm going to do. Like, sometimes I like a tough choice where, like, it's not immediately obvious if I've made the right choice for how I want to play the game.
Like Life is Strange kind of morals.
Right. Well, and, like, there are things in Witcher, right, where, like, you can do a good or bad thing. Like, even if you're helping the village, you can still ask them to give you money. And so, like, you're still doing a good thing, well, asking for money is like less of a good thing than doing it, pro bono. And I don't want it to be, a Fable skinned Witcher, but I just think like deeper RPG mechanics that don't feel as, I don't know, like it feels very early 2000s BioWare to do this like this binary scale of good or bad. I'd like to see.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it is an older franchise. They haven't really moved forward in the development of that game and the mechanics in it, so they are stuck with a very old system in play there. And I guess that's why it feels like that, because that's how games were back then.
Right.
It's not how they are now, though.
And maybe that's what's going to be so good about jumping to Playground is like they won't necessarily have the same baggage as a dev team where some of the leadership could have been there for a decade and a half. You know what I mean? This is a fresh set of eyes on an IP that's aged. It'll be interesting, but I have to imagine we won't see deep dives into the game's mechanics for quite some time. But it's nice to think about what they could do.
Yeah, I like what you said, Zach, about like it not being like a good and bad choice. It kind of where you can make choices that aren't very obvious, or you don't necessarily know what the impact of those choices is going to be right away. Like with The Witcher 3, I think for me that's what kept me so engaged in The Witcher 3. I would make choices. I had no idea how this thing would play out. Yeah. And that's. And especially when you're thinking about open world games and these long RPGs, I think it's just a great way to keep that level of engagement up. So I would imagine, hopefully, I think that they would incorporate something like that. But you never know. So
I feel like already too much of my life has been spent talking about the potential of Fable. Can we move on?
Oh no, we're gonna beat this horse to it dies.
No, leave that to.
I want to hear more of B Money's hot. B Money was describing something that sounded like Phantasy Star Online earlier in DM. So we'll move on, Bella. As I take a sip of wine. So, other Microsoft news. Microsoft has a new boss now. Well, I should say Microsoft Game Studios has a new boss. Matt Booty has been promoted to VP of Microsoft Game Studios. He actually takes over or fills that vacancy that Phil Spencer created when Phil was promoted by Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. And this guy is, I believe he was heading up the Minecraft. He's like
the boss of Minecraft is probably the
he was like the boss of Minecraft. But been in the industry 25 years. Believe he was a CEO of Midway Studios at one point.
Yep, he was during their best years. Yeah.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. This was like the mid 2000s when they were doing particularly well. Yeah.
What games did Midway make? I don't remember.
Oh, from the era, I don't know. All I remember is their stinkers in the last few years.
Yeah, I remember they had some weird Did they do those weird NFL football games where all the players were hulked up?
They did do. Like NBA Jam, right? Which is kind of coincides interestingly with the NBA Jam. There's kind of been some rumors about that coming back. And it seems kind of interesting that that's coming at the same time we see him moving up in the world a little bit. But yeah. Let's see. I'm just reading. Yeah. So it looks like So Matt Booty was there in mid 2000s, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, seeing him move up is really interesting. And we were kind of talking about this before we went live. But one of the things that you pointed out that's absolutely correct is running Minecraft. He saw them move on to other platforms, support other platforms, and then finally bring everybody together. And I think that seems pretty indicative of what Phil Spencer wants to do with the Xbox brand. I think that's cool.
No, it is, and we've heard some things about kind of the direction that Microsoft is potentially heading, and I think this promotion kind of coincides with the vision and where they want to go. And there was a quote and in that article that I read today, where Phil Spencer's talking about Matt Booty, and I thought was interesting was he says that he has a great depth of experience in the console space, but also with games that are reaching customers on multiple devices, which is going to be important to our long-term success. So
Play Anywhere.
Yeah, we'll play anywhere, right? And then I was thinking about the future of Microsoft and what we've discussed here on this podcast. But what it really stood out to me is multiple devices, right? And reaching as many customers as possible. That's kind of what like jumped out. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, and B Money, I want to ask you this, man, because I know we've talked about this a little bit, and is this kind of that hint that hey, Microsoft or even Xbox Live at some point could be an app where it's just accessible on whatever platform you're on? Even
I mean,
something like the PlayStation.
Yeah, we've talked about this quite a few times, and you know, it's something that I always believe would happen with Microsoft, just because the direction that they kind of move in, and it kind of started with the whole Play Anywhere, and a lot of people, you know, were upset about that, and you know, didn't really understand the move Microsoft was making. But it's, you know, you got to look at the bigger picture at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Just like it says in that quote, they're trying to reach as many customers as possible, and if they can put, you know, their product on different platforms and still see the dollar signs at the end of the day, that's what they're going to do. And they've created some great partnerships, you know, with Samsung and you know, some different mobile devices and things like that, where in a couple of years that could really you know, make a big deal, and really increase their revenue stream if they go to an app or something similar to that. So it's coming in the future. You know, just don't be upset about it when it happens. They're just looking at a bigger picture at the end of the day. They are a global brand, and that's what they'll continue to do is grow and reach as many customers as possible.
Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of falls in line with Satya Nadala's kind of his vision of Microsoft and when he took over. You know, yeah, you know, Zach, we talked about this before we went live. You mentioned they kind of always been on the outside looking in, or kind of late to the party. Yeah, I think you used a pie analogy.
yeah. I just mean, and I won't get into some of the stuff I said offline just because I don't want to talk about it live. But basically, yeah, it seems like you know, Microsoft is looking at sort of how can they, and I think Play Anywhere is the first step in this, right? Which is, you know, let's have our customers buy this game on our platform, and let's let that game follow them wherever they want to go. And you know, in 2018, that means I can play it on my Xbox and I can play it on my computer. And who knows, you know, maybe they'll stick with that. Maybe that'll broaden out and go to phones and you know, maybe other platforms beyond that. But you know, it does feel like they're a little bit late to the party. But I also think that moving Matt Booty to this position should signal to everybody that Microsoft is looking to both broaden their audience, but also reinvest in that first party. And I think that's interesting. And you know, I hope they're not too late to kind of make a big dent with their first party this gen. Just because if, you know, even if they start projects now or even last year, it'll take a while to see those come to fruition. But I think this is an interesting move. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't even know the spot was still vacant, and it's interesting to see them fill it now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you know, timing. You know, get him in the role before, you know, E3, and I guess now is he the figurehead now that's going to walk out on stage at E3? Are we not going to see Phil Spencer anymore?
You know, that'd be interesting. I think Phil's so popular. Just amongst fans, right? He's as iconic as Adam Boyes was at Sony at this point.
That's a good point.
Or Sean Layden. I think that we will still see him, but obviously, you know, with his new position, he moved up, and so I wouldn't be shocked if we see a little bit less of Phil at these conferences.
Interesting. Hello, any thoughts?
Well, firstly, I want to start with who else here is excited for all the fanboy memes that are going to be made by the fact his surname is Booty? Hands up. That shit is going to be hilarious. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah. But I mean, let's take into consideration he's been at Microsoft since 2010. So, you know, he's got 8 years of experience with the company. He knows the ins and outs. his main focus, I believe, is going to be on 343 Industries, the Coalition, Mojang, Rare, Turn 10, and Global Publishing.
Yep.
So that's where they're putting his focus to begin with. But like, there's a lot of conversation around the fact that Phil also wants him to be really focused on this new commitment that they've made to bringing new IPs to the table. So look, I mean, it's a little early to make judgment and figure out whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Someone has to fill the spot. We can't judge now whether he's going to do a good job of it or not. All we need to do is sit back, have a look, provide constructive feedback, hope that he is as open and socially active as Phil is, because I think that's one of the things that has made Phil such an icon for Microsoft, is that he interacts with the fans and talks to people, jumps in parties on Xbox with gamers and interacts with everyone. That, I think, is one of the things that is just imperative for somebody in that position, that makes them feel personable, makes them feel like they're approachable, and, yeah, my buddy Phil, he's a gamer just like me. And that Matt can do the same thing. He's going to be just fine. He can make as many mistakes as he wants. I mean, because God knows that Mr. Spencer does not walk on water, even though everybody thinks he does. And he can make as many mistakes as he wants because he does have this rapport with the community. So as long as Matt does the same thing and actually does bring some new content to the table and make sure that our beloved franchises like Halo and Gears of War are steered in the correct direction, then everything will be great.
All right. Is it, if he doesn't interact with the fans, is that kind of a big deal if he doesn't?
I don't think it's a big deal, but I think that will really
it'll probably stand out more.
It will create a bit of a stonewall for the community towards him. Do you know what I mean? Because they're so used to being able to interact with Phil that now that he's gone to a new role, the person who steps into that role, if they aren't able, like if the community isn't able to contact him and feel like they're able to converse, that I feel will be a negative impact on how the community perceives that person in that perception to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I think you're totally right in that, like, one of the things that's worked really well for Xbox and Phil Spencer for the last few years is, like, even when things like Lionhead and Scalebound end up being canned, people can look at Phil Spencer and the way Phil Spencer presents himself as, like, he seems personable, and it's like, even if I don't like Phil's decisions, I like Phil as a person, right? And I think that works out in his favor in a lot of ways.
He gets away with so much more because of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, they closed Lionhead, canned Scalebound in the same, I guess maybe 12 months, maybe 18 months, but like that's pretty rapid succession to be winding down first-party exclusive projects.
Yeah.
But because Phil wears a T-shirt on stage and is really nice, and don't get me wrong, I like Phil Spencer. I think he's a nice guy. Generally, I think they've recovered as a brand. But people give him a lot of credit just for being personable, and I think that this guy will probably follow suit just because it's worked out so well.
Absolutely, and if he doesn't, he is going to find himself faced with a very probably passive-aggressive community engagement, because we're just so used to being able to DM Phil, like, yo, Phil, how you doing? Congrats on E3, and you'll actually get a response back. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, and I think you also made a really good point where you're like, I think it's too early to judge if he's going to do a good job or not. You're totally right, but if they have even a lukewarm E3 this year, people would be like, that Matt Booty not delivering.
Matt Booty.
Everyone's gonna, you know what I mean?
And then there'll be all the memes.
And then the memes come.
All the booty memes. I can't wait.
His booty things.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like that's electronic entertainment in general. People get like that. People want that instant gratification, but I mean, people felt the same way. Although Phil Spencer did like immediately unbundle Connect, but that first year when somebody's in a new leader position, especially in the game industry, it feels like everybody is watching extra hard, and it'll be interesting to see the next year under him. The first year will be big, I think, one way or another.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair for anyone to judge the E3 and this E3 and
oh yes it is. Oh yes it is, and we will. Trust me, we will.
But you can't hold this guy to the candle if it's his first E3. Say, Matt Booty's taking up the
job. He knew what he was stepping into. There is absolutely no way in the world that he read that job description and didn't realize E3 was a part of it.
Well, I'm just saying. I think,
Yeah,
like you said earlier, Bella, it's too early to judge, or
you can't keep passing the baton, man.
Yeah.
You know, for a while,
That's
everybody's
right.
like,
It's a company job. It's not one man. It's a company. The entire company, as an entity, needs to keep this ship floating.
Okay,
And if they told who we're going to look to, we're going to look to the captain of the ship, and it's now Matt Booty. So get your shit in order, son.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if we talked about it live or not, but one of the things with Scalebound last year was like everyone's like, well, I don't know, but Phil Spencer probably wasn't there when they greenlit that game with Platinum, and it's like, okay, but that doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Him canning that game doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if Phil Spencer was in the room at the top of the table saying, you know what, let's make Scalebound. Like his decision to cancel it still matters, and whether or not that's the right decision or not, us as consumers probably don't get to say, and it probably isn't fair to say, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't take the full heat from it or doesn't deserve the full heat from it, right?
I don't know. I'm kind of.
I just mean if he has a great E3, everyone's gonna be singing his praises, and I think it should probably go the other way around too.
That's a good point. I mean, it's kind of like being the president of the U.S. You know, when the economy's doing well, you get credit for it, and when it's doing bad, you get shit for it too. So.
Yeah.
Who do you blame when you go through McDonald's drive-thru and you get to the other end and you're handed shit you did not order? Who do you blame? The person you're looking at.
Wait, McDonald's.
That's an
they give
on
you some
point.
crusty fries, man.
That's an on point analogy. You're right.
That's right.
It's true.
Man.
Wait, Bella, you really just use McDonald's?
Okay, but
I mean,
but it's a good analogy.
That is, yeah.
He's right though, right? Like you're not looking at the guy standing in the back picking his nose to the burger, like as he's making burgers. You're looking at the person who just handed you the bag. No, that's right. She's right.
I tend to do that on a regular basis. It's a part of being a female.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. So let me ask you guys something. So do you think now? Okay, so now look, we've been critical of Microsoft on this show, and not because we hate Microsoft or we're Sony ponies, because we're all gamers. We want to see them do well. We all of us own Xbox One consoles. Some of us own Xbox One X consoles. And I think all of us, without a shadow of a doubt, want to see them do well. Do you think now with the hardware in place and everything else, with Booty being in the position now, and now with Fable coming back,
it's just entertaining me. It's never going to lose its fun. All right, keep going.
So with Booty, okay. So with Matt in the position now in the chair, is the focus now? Are we going to see the focus turn into games now? Are we going to see them really invest in first party content, maybe new first party games, new franchises? What do you guys think?
All we can do is speculate. That's all we can do at this point is speculate. We don't know.
No, we don't know.
To actually get in his office, put his bum in the seat, write some checks, do some mistakes, do some good stuff, and then we'll actually end up saying what we can expect from his new reign. I mean, we just don't know yet. The focus is meant to be towards new IPs. I mean, Microsoft has said multiple times, Phil has said multiple times, we want new IPs. We're putting a focus on this. We're going to make sure that we support our studios more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Microsoft say a lot. So it's just a case of sitting back and saying and speculating, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that I found more interesting about this Fable rumor than anything else is that it confirms another stack of leaks that happened even earlier this month.
Yeah.
Right. Like the same leak that talked about this happening at Playground was the same leak that touched on things like the Coalition working with another studio on a Perfect Dark reboot. And I think, but I mean, like, again, like Bella was saying, like, it is so fucking early to say, does this mean Microsoft's going to be more focused on games? Look, I think that they've had criticism over their first party lineup for a couple of years now. People have stopped whining about their games coming to PC, which is good, but the fact of the matter remains that Microsoft didn't have a whole lot of games on Xbox and PC that weren't available elsewhere. I think we'll see more, but I wouldn't expect anything drastic in the next year or two, just because of how long dev cycles are.
Yeah. By the way, the guy that leaked those rumors on Reset Era, he's been pretty.
He's been accurate before. Yeah. Yep. He leaked E3 2016 in its entirety a couple days early. So yeah.
Yeah. So he's been pretty spot on, and Yeah, I think we'll see Rare and the Return of Perfect Dark, which I'm excited about. Like,
Leaks.
you hate leaks?
I hate leaks. They're just inconvenient.
I mean, yeah, and they do. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if everything on that guy's leak from Reset Era is like literally order of operations at the at E3, like everyone's gonna be bored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and like
Where's the excitement then?
Yeah, no, and like that's the thing, right? Is like, as somebody who occasionally likes to write about it, as somebody who definitely likes to talk about it, it's fun in the moment. But then, like on June 12th or whenever this ends up being this year, I'm just like, kind of like, you know, twiddling my thumbs, like, yep, heard about it, yep, heard about it, yep, that screenshot leaked. You know, like it's just, you know, it's fun in the moment, but in 6 months, I'm gonna be kind of sick of it.
I'll say this: 2016 was bad for leaks for them because I saw stuff like I saw. I think a week before they announced the S, I saw the S, and I saw the Gears of War S, and this is a week before E3.
Yep.
Like
most of this stuff isn't genuine leaks, though. The majority of this stuff that gets sent out right before these main events is orchestrated by the companies, and you know why? Because it builds hype, it builds interest. People now who maybe weren't quite as interested, like,
but Bella, even a week,
that can't be true. I'm going to have to tune in to see. It generates more interest. It generates pre-orders. It generates money.
I think that you're right. Like, I think one of the things is like tons of Assassin's Creed Origins stuff was leaked early with like really high quality screenshots, and it was like, all right, well, this is to the point where this is so high quality and the shot is so clean that like this feels orchestrated. But I can't imagine Microsoft would be like super stoked with like the level of the leaks that were posted on Reset Era in regards to like Coalition working on Perfect Dark. But you're right. I mean, it could be the long game trying to build hype early. Who knows?
I just want to say something.
Otherwise, they have to pay. Sorry, I don't mean to talk over the top of you. I'll wrap this thought up real quick. Otherwise, they have to pay for that marketing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's
yeah,
hundreds of thousands of dollars that they have to pay to actually put ads together, campaigns, this, that, and the other. Whereas they just email somebody an image, bam, we do it all for them. Here we are doing it for them right now for free.
Yep, that's true.
That's a good point. Bill, I just want to say something. You started a booty trend in the live chat.
I know, isn't it awesome?
I mean, there is
out of context, like not the best, but in context.
Yes.
I just want that whole live chat there to just shake their booties right now. Come on, just shake your booties with me. That's it. Shake your booty. There we go. Everybody around the world is shaking their booty right now.
Chicken Spaghetti says, "I hope booty bears all of the games Phil wants to wait to announce." All right. So yeah, the stick figure says, "I'd like booty to move it, and get some more IP."
I like big booty, and I cannot lie.
Oh my gosh! If he comes out, imagine if he came out to stage with that song. But, yeah. But you know what though? I'll say this: like regarding that leak though, that came out a couple weeks ago, it got me excited. Whether or not those games end up becoming true or not, the fact of the matter for me is like, okay. We're talking about Microsoft again, and this is exciting. There's some franchises on that list that I hope come back. That a lot of gamers I think have wanted or requested to come back too. Like Microsoft for me is one of those games for just a pure nostalgia factor. Going back to the early days of Xbox Live when I was playing in a Xbox Live clan. It's one of the first games that we played as a clan together. So. I'm just glad that if these rumors are true, that they're kind of going back to the cupboard, if you will, and going back to some older franchises that I think a lot of Xbox fans will probably appreciate. And I think that's a great starting point for them. So I'm a little bullish on them for 2018.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that. So, B Buddy, do you want to get one more thought in? I thought you were trying to.
He's busy shaking his booty.
I'm good. I just hope we see something. I mean, see some games. I mean, all the rumor stuff is cool. It's all franchises that we've seen before. Nothing for me to like get too crazy hyped about. I just want to see new stuff. You know what I mean? And as long as they bring out new content at high quality, I'll be happy.
Can I just add one more thing about leak cultures as we kind of wind this down?
Sure.
this topic. I think one of the things that Microsoft has seen a lot in the last, I mean, we all know it, the last 3 or 4 years, it feels like everything leaks starting about January, but then it really bad in May, and then right the weeks before E3. I think one of the things that causes this is they have so much time to plan these games and to plan their announcement trailers, because all they do is E3. All Microsoft does is E3. And Gamescom, kind of. They've even backed away from that. But, like, you know, one of the things that we've even seen in the last week is how much can Nintendo hype the shit out of people by doing these random but
Just
frequent
random
directs. And, like, even like tonight's thing, right, where Nintendo's like, hey, we're making this really bizarre cardboard box game, but it's 2.5 minutes. They don't have to say anything else about it. And, like, that's fun, right? Like, that's – and you know, if you know, people internally were sitting on that information for 6 months, the increased likelihood of leaks only ramps up. It just feels like, obviously I sympathize with these companies for marketing, but like Bella said, some of it's planned, but in other ways, like, it just feels like if you know, you don't want your E3 to feel like, you know, kind of a dull delivery, then, like, you need to not, I don't know, just announce things more frequently. I would love to see Microsoft and Sony do the same thing as Nintendo and kind of do these random directs.
I'm a big fan of the Nintendo Directs. I think it's a great way to keep a high level of engagement with Nintendo fans. I think it's just great. Although I'm a little like, I don't know what to think about the Nintendo. What is it? Labo? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah. I mean I mean, the thing is you know, it's tempting to always give a cynical hot take and be like, you know, this is $80 cardboard, but, like, that's dumb, because, like, you know, as a kid, I would have loved this. You know what I mean? Like, as right now, it does nothing for me. I think it's cute. It looks fun. If I were old enough to have kids, I think it was interesting. I'm too old for it myself, but, like, I could think something is cool and also acknowledge that it's not for me.
Yeah, like no doubt my kids would love this, right?
Yep.
And I don't know, I mean, I don't know if your kids were like this, but I mean, I know my kids would, but I just it's not like I couldn't. I was looking at this, and then I had to stop and think for a second. I said, you know what, this is actually not for me. You know, I can't really look at this as why are they showing me this, because it's not. I'm not the intended audience. Clearly, you know, I'm not gonna put on a box and walk around like a robot with Joy-Cons in my hands.
You lie. You lie.
I was waiting for that.
You totally would.
I knew you were going to say
lying.
that.
We know you would.
I knew you were going to say that. But it's hey, what's up, Eric?
Chillin', what's going on?
Not much, man. We're talking about the Nintendo Labo.
Oh yeah. What, you trying to build a clubhouse? That's all I thought. That's on a cardboard box. I'm like, what?
Oh my! That brings back memories, man.
Someone did kind of put a disclaimer out there that said, you know, Nintendo's announcement today may not be for you, you know, but for like another generation or another audience.
Well, exactly, and that's
97% of the people watching this, but for the 3% of you who are interested in this, you buy it now for $9.99.
Yeah. So
what's throwing me off is the cardboard part of it. I'm like, cardboard for $70.
Well, and I think that's part of it. I mean, obviously software comes into that cost, and
right.
They have clarified that it's a cartridge, so, like, I get that. Obviously, as we've learned with indie games, it's expensive to make Switch games on cartridges. But I think somebody made a good point of, like, well, I buy my kids Legos and Legos are expensive, and, like, that's absolutely true. But I can, you know, my kid, if I had a kid, they could spill juice on their Legos, but, like, if you spill juice on that cardboard, we're gonna have a problem,
right?
You know what I mean? My kids and my dog and my, you know, whatever, they can play with my kids' Legos, but they can't necessarily play with this cardboard. You can sit on Legos, you can step on Legos, but you don't want to step on these intricate, you know, rubber band and box things. Don't get me wrong, it's a really cute novel thing, but it, you know, I think the price is a little high. But, you know, maybe the software will have a little more depth than what we saw today. I just can't imagine paying like $60 for that little piano app, no matter how cute it is.
Right.
I mean, the piano app looked cute, but the problem is, and I was thinking about, like, the casual consumer, all they're going to see is cardbox or cardboard, you know, and they're going to see the price tag.
Yeah, I mean, like, basically they're banking on kids begging their parents, right?
And that is what is going to win people over.
You think so? You think it's going to be hot?
It's already number 4 on Amazon bestsellers. You know what I mean? It's climbing the charts already. So the hype alone, you know what I mean? It's first of all, it's something creative. It's the one thing that most kids want, or most parents want their kids to do, is not just sit there all day and kind of sit in front of a screen. So the first thing you do is just build whatever, play part that you're going to make, whether it be piano or whatever the case may be. And then you have the chance to design it. So you have that creative nature kind of going first. And then, once you put it together and you can kind of interact with it, I think it's, just something special. Definitely, it's not anything for me or whatever, but I can understand the appeal to it. And I guarantee you'll see a lot more kids yearning for this, especially when you get like the kids who have their own YouTube shows and whatnot. And you see all the other little kids, kind of want to implement, what they're doing on those YouTube shows. More and more kids will go pick this up and you'll see it sell. Maybe not as high as Amiibos, but it'll definitely be something that, Nintendo can leverage and make some decent money off of.
Absolutely. And I tell you, as an auntie to 3 nephews who love video games, to me, when I see them, when they're not playing video games, they're on their tablets. I'm like, God, But I do want to encourage their love of video games as well. Like, I always buy them stuff to do with it. You see, the Star Wars video games, that's all they get from me. But something like that, as an auntie, I'd be like, maybe I should get this because it's taking their eyes off the screen for a bit and making their brains work in a different way and, nourishing their creative nature in them. So, as an auntie, that's something that I would definitely consider getting for my nephews.
Oh, yeah. And, let's not pretend, again, we are not the main audience for it, but some of it just looks so genius, right? Like, the cardboard bug that uses the vibration of the Joy-Cons to move it along is absolutely genius. I mean, you know what I mean? It's something that I can appreciate from afar, from an engineering and just how fucking thoughtful you have to be to think of that is really something. But I think you're totally right. This is totally catering to the type of kid who even the type of kids who might like video games, but are there are a lot of kids with a lot of energy, and I think this is absolutely for them. But one of the cool things Nintendo clarified in post is that they were going to upload blueprints, and so kids can cut out their own versions of it, which is good if you need a replacement part. And obviously you still need the cartridge. But having these blueprints be free and accessible to kids is huge, right? It's just
even for an afternoon of arts and craft. Mum or dad goes to the printer, prints out a whole heap of them. You get the cardboard, you stick it on there, you cut it out together, you paint it together.
Yep.
That's
smart.
That's kind of brilliant on Nintendo's part too, because if you look at what they've done so far, which is the Switch, in terms of appealing to the core gamer or people our age, if you will, there's obviously content that we want to play. We know about Dark Souls coming on the Switch, and Skyrim's on the Switch, LA Noir's on the Switch, but they're incorporating this one platform in a way that appeals to just a variety of different people, different age groups. And I think that's brilliant in a lot of ways, to be that creative, like you said, Zach, and even from an engineering perspective, to do the things they're doing and tell those things to a younger audience, but at the same time, be able to offer something to gamers that are our age, to parents, if you will, Oh,
yeah. I mean, just the fact that Doom and Skyrim are on the same console as this thing is just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I love that. I mean, I love that, right? I mean, as somebody who's watched Nintendo struggle for at least a decade like that, that's great to see, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have kids, and they would love this, and so and I could at the same time, I love the fact that Dark Souls is coming on the Switch, and it's something that we could play with. Although I don't get much time on the Switch. They tend to they've pretty much monopolized the Switch here at my house, so I really don't have to play too much. But
they debo you to yo G, run that Switch.
Yeah, they do. So, all right. So, some other news to talk about. Has anyone played Forza Horizon 3, the with the enhancements.
Yep.
How beautiful! I haven't played it on the Xbox One X. I heard it's freaking beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I was somebody who was pretty impressed with the HDR implementation before, and I tend to find that a little bit more compelling than 4K. But it's really good. I dabbled a little bit in the Hot Wheels, but then went over to Blizzard Mountain, which I bought in on sale a couple of weeks ago, but kind of held off on until the patch. It looks great. The one thing that I did notice was some of the shadow and also ground textures are a little sharper, which is nice. I think it's a good patch. I'm happy to see Playground update a game that's 16 months old. I am a little disappointed we didn't see a 60 FPS option with a little bit lower visual fidelity. But I kind of also understand the CPU limitations here on the X. But overall, I think it's impressive. Maybe not worth the $500 price tag of the X, but it's definitely a nice bonus for people who are already owners of the X and Horizon.
Yeah, and they did say that. I mean, the X was completely capable of the 60 frames. I do wonder if eventually
they did say that. I missed that.
Yeah, they said that. I believe I did see that earlier on Twitter, that they said the X was completely capable of doing it. They just went for the graphic fidelity first and foremost. So I don't know if later on they may work on some more optimization to get it all in one package.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet myself. I actually just did the update today, so I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah. It's strange that they're like we're gonna do visuals first, even though they're already if you already are basically it's kind of a first party game, but you already missed that November launch window. Like, might as well take another month or however long it takes. I'm sure it takes much longer than that to optimize it and offer some options. Right, like, that's what The Witcher did. But whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna complain. 4K is nice for a lot of people who have a set. I think that racing games feel better at 60, but obviously Horizon still feels incredible at 30, so I'm not too upset about it.
And I bring this up, Eric and B-Money, because of what you guys consistently refer to me as the gold chain gamer.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring this up because I had no interest in picking this game up.
Horizon 3's been gorgeous.
Of course,
wow.
It's ironic that you're a gold chain gamer, even though you play more indies than you do AAAs.
No, I mean, not recently. No, there was a point.
Now that they're enhanced.
No, there was a time where I was definitely playing more indies than AAAs, but that's changed. It's changed now. Yeah, I don't think there's been an indie that's really kind of. I haven't played indie in a while. I think since Edith Finch, maybe. That might be the last indie I played.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that, huh, Enrique?
It's like that.
Yeah, he saw the X and then lost his mind, man.
Yup.
Yeah.
Disregarding all the greatness out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, am I missing out on some games?
Indies. I mean, on Xbox, maybe not so much. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but I just got to Hellblade over the holidays, and I mean, that's a pretty good. I don't know. Do you consider that indie? Is that considered an indie game?
I don't
Ninja Theory.
I don't consider
it's an indie game that's self-published.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of indies. I know today.
The Witcher is an indie game by all rights.
Yeah, it's only distributed by Warner Brothers.
Can we really say The Witcher's indie though?
No, it's not. I mean, it's distributed by Warner Brothers.
It's distributed by Warner Brothers. It's not published by Warner Brothers.
That's right, and it's published by CD Projekt Red, who developed it. They're an independent development studio, which is what makes an indie game an indie. Doesn't matter who distributes it; it's who develops it.
I was under the impression that I didn't realize they were just the distributor.
I'm gonna.
But I mean, like today, Full Metal Fury's launch on Xbox is an Xbox and Steam exclusive, which is strange that Microsoft hasn't hyped that at all. But it's made by the developers of Rogue Legacy, which is one of my favorite roguelike games of the last decade. It's really that hasn't been hyped at all, but it's 4-player co-op. I haven't touched it yet. I've been meaning to. It's just kind of. I mean, Look, it's January. There's not a lot of games that come out, and indies tend to stay away from the fall lineup for good reason.
Yeah.
Night in the Woods did launch on Xbox last month. I've played that previously, but it's also a very good indie game if that's kind of your genre.
Coming to Switch pretty soon too, actually.
Yeah, February 1st. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna pick it up on Switch.
I do have my eye on The Messenger. I don't know if you guys have seen that game. It's kind of like a love letter to Ninja Gaiden, the original.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah, Eric, have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, definitely look up The Messenger. I think one of the Iron Lords actually was it Lord Cognito or Kaibatsu? One of them had mentioned it to me because we were talking about Ninja Gaiden and they mentioned The Messenger. So yeah. So definitely got my own.
Battle Chase is dropping on Switch because I've been dying to play that, but I've been trying to like kind of hold out. I wanted to wrap it on the Switch. Anyone know?
I don't think they put like a specific date on it. I think it's supposed to be like spring 2018. So okay. I'm waiting for the Switch version.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just a random thing. I played Metal Slug this past weekend. Just throwing that out there. I played that with my 3-year-old. No, it was crazy.
But it's not enhanced though, man.
No, it's not enhanced. But but classic. He's sitting there, and so my brother-in-law has an arcade cabinet in his basement, and he's got like a bunch of like classic games. And Metal Slug was on there. I'm like, oh, we have to play this. And I was playing co-op with him. It was hilarious. He's sitting there smashing the buttons. It was hilarious. All right, so moving along, we're going to talk about our next topic, Quantic Dream, which Zach, I know we talked about this quite a bit in the STGC Discord chat, and there's some allegations against Quantic Dream, the developer behind Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, and they're working on Detroit right now. There's some allegations that there's been instances of sexual harassment, racism. There was allegations of some photoshopped images circulating through the studio of people in Nazi uniforms. I can't pronounce his name, but it's not David Cage, but it's Guillemay, and I'm going to try to pronounce his last name. He's been accused of even at company outings or holiday parties, trying to kiss some of the female employees. So, I did hear that the one of the reporters who published this story in one of the newspapers in France was blacklisted by Sony, but apparently that's not true. At least that's what someone said, because I talked about this in a Brap rant. Someone in the live chat, and Nate actually in the live chat had mentioned that wasn't true, that Sony had not blacklisted the journalist. But I haven't seen anything on the internet other than the rumor that the reporter had been blacklisted, but I haven't seen anything refuting that. So, Zach, I want to go to you. I just, and I kind of know your thoughts as we talked about this, but if you wouldn't mind sharing your thoughts on these accusations over at Quantic Dream.
Sure. I mean, the big thing with Quantic Dream to me is the one thing worth talking about too is the paper that published at Le Monde is the biggest publication, as far as I know, in France. So this is not some online gaming rag. This is not some random. This is not a blog. This is a very serious newspaper writing about a very serious topic happening at a big games company in Paris. So it's a big deal. The allegations are serious. A big paper wouldn't pick up this story if they didn't think that they had something to talk about. Just over the last couple months, I've especially become more aware of these issues in the industry and kind of just around entertainment and just life all around us. I am in the habit of believing these people. I don't think people who are employees or former employees of Quantic Dream have much to gain from coming out against their boss's bad behavior. I believe these allegations to be true. But
actually, real quick to that point, Zach, I mean, if you think about the gaming industry, I mean, you think about the guy who came out and talked about Naughty Dog.
Sure.
You know, you're right. They don't have anything to gain other than potentially being blacklisted from the industry.
Right, and that's one of the things that you and I talked about in that Discord is that you know, if it's not true about that journalist being blacklisted and then Sony, then that's not as big of a point to make. But you know, this is twice within 3 months that allegations have come out. Obviously, Sony doesn't own Quantic Dreams, but they're close partners, and so you still have a bit of an obligation to probably say something, or you should say something. But this is twice in 3 months where I personally feel like Sony has dropped the ball, talking about what is a very big cultural shift, and they're on the wrong side of it. To see Sony, even if they didn't blacklist this writer, they still have not said anything to me that says that they give this report any merit, and that's problematic. You know, even around Naughty Dog, they said we're going to look into it, and within 24 hours, they're like, yeah, there's nothing to be seen here, and like that's just not enough time for an internal investigation.
No.
Here, they didn't even address it. You know, they're not quite as responsible again because they don't own them, but it is still incredibly easy for Sony, from a public relations standpoint, to say we found what was written in Le Monde completely troubling. We want to have our own internal look at things, and like leave it at that. Like just I mean, even they're not even pretending to care, which I find just so problematic.
Do you think they're doing that because of the, you know, upcoming release of Detroit coming out later this year, and maybe they're just like, you know what, we're gonna get through this project, we need to get this game out, and then, you know, we'll cut our ties out, you know, after the game releases.
It's possible. From what I understand, Quantic Dream and Sony had a 3-game partnership, that's being the third after Heavy Rain and Beyond. So this could be the third partnership, but I mean, Sony saying we're going to look into this does not lose them a sale, right?
No, I actually think that's
but I think them saying nothing potentially loses them a sale. I mean, just from a pure, I'm a publisher trying to sell a game, not saying anything is not a good fucking look. It's incredibly problematic. Some of the photos have been leaked and released from what was going on internally. And you know, one of the things I find so troubling is they talk to David Cage about these allegations, and he's like, well, anybody can look at my games and see that I'm not sexist or racist. And it's like, okay, but your games have some problematic depictions of women, right? Like Ellen Page's first video game is Beyond, and then somebody on the team leaks that they decided they were going to make her full model nude without getting any permission from her. That didn't even make it to the final game. So why did they end up modeling her as a nude character? You know,
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, if your studio hasn't fostered a toxic, behavior pattern, the evidence is just damning that Quantic Dreams has some problems.
Yeah, and you know, his rebuttal to this whole thing, I don't know if you guys read this, was, and I quote, he's, you want to talk about homophobia, we work with Ellen Page, who fights for LGBT rights. You want to talk about racism, we work with Jesse Williams, who fights for civil rights in the United States. Judge my work. I
mean, isn't that just the equivalent of saying, like, I'm not a homophobe, I've got a friend who's gay, right? I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
I'm not racist.
I mean, I work with a nun, that makes me a Catholic, right?
It's just...
Yeah. So like most of my friends are black.
I work next to a pizza shop. I'm now half Italian.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I think there's some great points. I think it's shocking for me that Sony hasn't at least said, hey, you know what? These are pretty serious allegations. We're going to look into this at the very least.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm surprised.
Hands up here, if anyone here, and don't put your hand up if you don't actually work, but hands up if you actually work in an environment where you don't work with at least one dickhead that takes shit too far, that says inappropriate things, that just seems to have no social filter.
Oh yeah.
Everybody does.
It's in every workplace.
I haven't worked with anyone like that in years. But,
and I work at a university, and so maybe things are a little bit different at our corporate level. But like, remember, this isn't like, hey, I mean, because they do have specific allegations against not David Cage, but his co-head of the company. But this sounds quite systemic, right? This is, I think it's about 10 different people who are both current and former employees over, you know, and some of these people said like, look, I had issues years ago and oh
yeah, they're dating it, but it's like 15 of them dating stuff back to 2013.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, like, I don't think this is, and if it were one guy being a scumbag, maybe we'd see him being ousted, but it seems like they have, you know, and it's not just the sexual harassment, right? It's David Cage, they were watching, I think the story covers that they were watching a viral video of a robbery, and the person committing the robbery was a black person, and David Cage turned to their Tunisian employee and said, "Is this one of your cousins?" Right? Like, that's an incredibly horrible thing to say, and like that's enough for you're done, right? Like you should not be working there anymore. And for him to feel comfortable saying that at his, you know, at his company speaks volumes to the corporate culture that they have.
But I guess that all of it is a bit of hearsay, isn't it? You know, at this moment, or where we can go off is this person said this person did that, and this person said that person did this. It does raise a lot of eyebrows, and obviously a lot of focus will be put on that studio from now to see how they handle this and how they deal with these allegations and how they conduct themselves in the future. But again, a lot of this is just like speculation. We don't know what actually went on. We don't know whether a bunch of disgruntled employees that didn't get a Christmas bonus.
I mean, I guess my thing is that I mean, remember, some of these people still work there too. I am, the reason I'm inclined to take their word for it. Again, there's very little to gain because a lot of these stories probably happened in a closed environment where there wasn't 200 people in the room. It was 10 or 15. And so if a very specific story is quoted, it's probably pretty obvious who said it internally, right? Like if somebody's complaining about David Cage in a closed meeting, he probably knows who said it about them. There's not a lot to gain by lying, right? It can end your career, as that guy from Naughty Dog.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, they have more to risk outside of Quantic Dream from an industry perspective being blacklisted.
Right. And it's similar but different, right? Like, you look at people like, I mean, it's very different, but you look at people like Cosby, like Larry Nassar, right? Even if a third of these people are lying, that's still way too many allegations against your studio, right? Like, and I don't believe any of them are lying, but I just mean that, like, look, 15 people don't suddenly get together and say, yeah, fuck Quantic Dreams. Like, they all have these anecdotes that seem justified. And I mean, you're right. Lamont didn't share anything that's like 100% irrefutable. I look at what's been reported and I say, okay, what's the benefit of lying? Like, what does a source have to gain by lying? And I don't see a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Zach. And it goes back to that old saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. Now, like, we don't know everything that went on per se. We don't know the exact details. But I think when you have this many people making these accusations, it kind of makes it hard to say, well, you know, I don't know if this is true, or, you know, or maybe these people are trying to benefit from this financially. I don't think that's the case here. And I've seen instances on I go back to Twitter where people have kind of made that assumption, you know. Maybe they're disgruntled employees. I don't think disgruntled employees typically don't make these sort of allegations.
I don't know. It worked for the Romans and the Greeks back in the day. Look how well it worked for them.
I mean, the bigger thing, right, is in mass, right?
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, like, look, again, I am still 100% believe that story from the former Naughty Dog employee. But I think his story, because he is a lone person, technically, I would say it's less plausible than this, right? Like, it just feels like 15 people all saying, look, there's a really toxic workplace going on here for you know, racism, sexism, etc. I think that's pretty compelling that there's an issue. And
I think the other thing for me too was when they say there's high turnover.
Yeah, I mean, there's turnover a lot in this industry, right? Like, as far as just burnout and crunch time goes. But sure. Yeah, I mean, I think their numbers are quite high even compared to other developers.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, regardless of whether it's true or not, particularly if it's not true and there's a bunch of people that have come forward and said all this stuff, that clearly is an issue there for this to have come up one way or the other? Is it an issue that us gamers should be involved in, concerned about, or even looking into? Absolutely not. This is a corporate issue that needs to be resolved internally, and any parties who have suffered any grievance should be compensated, and anyone who has acted maliciously should be fined. This is an internal corporate issue, and it shouldn't be something that the rest of us are involved in.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel too. Like, you know what I mean, with the whole situation with Naughty Dog and Sony coming out and just saying like, yo, there's nothing to see here, you know.
Exactly.
For me, that's a corporate thing, you know what I mean? We're going to take care of it in-house. We don't need to come out and make a bunch of statements about it. We'll investigate it, and, you know, I mean, whatever happens, but we'll take care of that, and don't you guys worry about it. You know, still have that love for Naughty Dog in the studio and the work that they put in. You know what I mean? All these allegations and whatnot, we'll take care of that on the back end, and it doesn't need to be seen in the public eye. And with this situation, you know, Sony doesn't own Quantic Dream. They don't need to come out and say anything about it. It's like, that's them dudes over there. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're doing.
Sony doesn't even need to acknowledge
we having orgies at that office that ain't got nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? We don't. They're not part of our company. You know, we've worked with them, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. We work with them and we kind of move on. So, Quantic Dream, you know, they just based on the work, you know what I mean, the kind of mentality that you have to put out that type of content. Of course, they probably have different personalities, and they probably do say a lot of crude things that to them probably isn't that big a deal.
That's right. You're dealing with the French here. They have no filter.
Most people might find that stuff offensive, you know what I mean? You know, but to them, it might not be a big deal. And, you know, just me being a black man that grows up in America, people, you know, of different races say things that could be offensive to me, but, you know what I mean? I know it's, you know, they say it in a joking manner or whatever the case may be. So I don't take it to heart, and, you know what I mean, we can laugh about it and we just move on. And some people might not have that same mentality or might not feel that way. So they take it to heart or might feel a certain way about a situation or a conversation or a statement. So Quantic Dream has a little bit of cleaning up to do. There's 15 people that came out, but it's like, you know, if the issue was that bad, you could have been ousted them, you know what I mean, years ago, whenever these situations came up. You know what I mean? I just think it's weird that, you know, everyone kind of accumulated now and the big story comes out. If you feel like you're wrong, then express that, you know what I mean, when that action took place. And not wait, you know, so long to kind of come out and
wait 5 years.
Yeah, like that just seems silly to me. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody did you wrong, you know what I mean, you come out and say something about it, and not wait, you know, 10, 15 years later to be like, oh, remember that time that dude did me wrong? You know what I mean? I want to say something about it now.
Yeah. Well, there's no way I am sitting on that for 5 years. If I am pissed off at you, you're knowing about it right now. Exactly. And that's how most people are. They don't sit on that thing for 5 years.
I mean, but if you are a mid or low level, you know, you're a lighting artist, all right? And David Cage something problematic to you or does something problematic to you, even if you're like, yeah, I can't work here anymore, you're gonna leave. If you come forward with that, you could be labeled as a problem employee, and you might be blacklisted from the industry, right? Like,
then you suck it up and you walk away. You don't come back 5 years later and go, "Oh, I found my balls today. Let me deal with this now." No, you either deal with it or you don't. You make a decision about your life and how you as a person are going to deal with your situation. And you don't wait for other people to have balls and piggyback on them and go, oh, all these other people are doing this thing. I can go hide in this group now. I'm not an individual. And I'll just use the safety of a group to, you know, voice my thing. No, own your own shit.
Okay.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I think that when you're dealing with
so let me ask you this, Enrique.
Yeah.
If you're at work and your male boss comes on to you, sexually assaults you, are you going to wait 5 years to come out and say something about it, or are you going to say it right then and there?
No, I'm going to say something.
Okay, then. That's what I'm talking about.
But
why wait?
But that's
me.
Okay. But that's me though. Like I'm professionally at a different point in my career.
No, it doesn't matter. That's you. Period. That's you as a human being. But it doesn't matter what point of what point in your career you were at. If someone sexually assaulted you,
I don't think it's
first day on the job, I'm guaranteed you're gonna say something about it.
I don't think it's that easy though all the time. But I think people, especially younger people who, especially people, if you think about like people whose dreams were to get in the gaming industry per se, right? And I'm gonna draw a parallel between what's happened recently with the and everyone probably, most of us probably know about what's happened with the doctor of the that was the doctor for the U.S.
Larry Nassar.
U.S. women's gymnastics, right? Yeah. And for years, this guy was sexually abusing female gymnasts, and now all of a sudden, years later, we're hearing about all these allegations, all these things. None of these individuals came out when they were younger.
They're not in their prime anymore. They're no longer able to be Olympic gymnasts. They're past their prime. They're in the pasture, and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to complain about it now. Maybe I'll get some money. No, you get your justice because you deserve justice. You don't do it after the fact because, oh, well, now I can come out and maybe I can write a book about it or something. No.
But what I'm saying is a lot of them didn't say anything because of that pressure, of that dream, that wanting to fulfill that ambition, that career ambition.
Right. You're selling out your own soul because you want to be a great gymnast or you want to be an artist, and you're selling out who you are as a freaking human being.
But sometimes let's be honest. I mean, we're in the last few months we've gone and hit the gas on where people can come forward and people will actually listen. I mean, think about people were like, well, Bill Cosby did all this and that over years and no one said anything, but they also came up in a time where people kind of ignored. Or turn
you're absolutely right. Like Cosby settled suits years ago, right? It wasn't like it just came to light.
Right.
And I think, look, one of these things that we're kind of suggesting that people hear, look, Lamond approaches these people, right? So Lamond gets a tip that there's some problems going on, and they find a source or two that's willing to talk. And that source is willing to talk, says, hey, and I know X, Y, and Z. This isn't like these people aren't looking to get fame. This is like somebody who used to work there, who works far away, literally one of the sources in Le Monde was like, I didn't want to talk about this anymore, but you approached me, and so here's what I have. Here's what I have to tell you. And these people aren't looking for fame. These people are just trying to move on with their lives. And when a newspaper comes to you and says, look, we've got a bunch of other people on the record talking about these problems at this place. We've heard that maybe you have something to say. Do you want to make a comment? And they make a statement. I don't think that's cowardice or them looking for a moment of fame. I think this is a person who probably feels like they couldn't have talked 5 years ago because they didn't want to be blacklisted from that industry. If all I've wanted to do was be a level designer and I got a low-level position and I was harassed, I don't know if I would say anything if I wanted to keep working in that industry, even if it wasn't at that place.
Mm-hmm. And sadly, companies protect those who bring in what they consider the dollar.
Right. I mean, like David Cage is obviously an iconic person. We all know his name, and the fact that we know his name is enough to show that they protect him. Right. Mm-hmm. And look, you see there's parallels all over the place. Harvey Weinstein, there were allegations against Harvey Weinstein for decades, but he was powerful enough to keep those things quiet. I don't know if I knew Harvey Weinstein's name a year ago. But then you hear about how infamous he was, and it's upsetting that we were. But
that's the thing. People wouldn't speak out against him because if you did, he'd kill your career. You were done.
And the same thing that you briefly touched on Larry Nassar, but the same thing, right? Are you going to believe a 17-year-old girl who says she was attacked 5 years prior, or are you going to believe this established adult who has helped the United States win dozens and dozens and dozens of awards? There is a power in numbers, and so look, this is a he said she said with Larry Nassar, but when it's he said she said, you know what I mean? There is power in numbers where you no longer need as much evidence when everybody can tell you a circumstantial thing. And
that's right, which also makes it just as unbelievable in that power in numbers works both ways. The power in numbers can be, well, if there's that many people saying it must be true, or the power in numbers can also be, well, there's that many people, let's not bother looking into it. Like a lot of people seem to be just like, oh, well, if this many people are saying it, it must be true. Let's not worry about actually looking in to see if there's any foundation behind this that provides any truth. It can go both ways. And I feel like this is a conversation that there's never going to be a group of people that can all agree on the approach, because we all have very different opinions about how these kind of things should be handled and how we as individuals would handle them if we were in that situation. But I'm telling you right now, if somebody offended me badly enough that I needed to speak out about it, I'd speak out about it. You don't get offended that badly and then shut your mouth for 5 years and then go, oh, well, other people are saying this and come out. No. You make a decision in your life. It's either that important to you to say something about it and you say something about it, or you swallow your fucking pride and you move on. I don't agree with this whole, oh, well, you know, 5 years ago, somebody said something really bad to me and it stuck with me for that long, so I'm going to speak out about it now. No. About it then. You've allowed other people to be put up into that situation, to be in that culture, in that office, to be subjected to the kind of behavior that you were subjected to. That's on you. You're also a part of this now. By not speaking out, by not putting an end to that kind of behavior and that abuse, you're allowing other people to be subjected to it, and you're a part of the problem. So I just really do not agree with this whole, oh, I did want to speak out because, you know, I was a little bit like afraid that maybe I might lose my job. Lose your job. Go work somewhere with better people. Anyway,
I think
and I'm really sorry.
no, and I get it. I hear what you're saying, Bella. I disagree, but I think it in some circumstances, I think it's easier to say that than it is.
Yeah, because I'll say, and without going into too much detail, but I actually know a story right now where like somebody I know was assaulted at their office by their boss, like choked, like physically, like assaulted. He didn't want to press charges because fear of his job, and their take on it is like, well, he'll have to go to anger management on his dime and the whole nine. Again, protecting the person. And we're all pushing him like, dude, man, you got to do something about that, man. Like this dude physically like jumped on you in the office. And the police came and got reports and the whole nine, but he didn't want to press charges because of fear of whether losing his job or nothing's going to happen, or the case may be. So I get what you're saying, Belle, but not everybody is always as brave to step out and do to be the champion. They don't have to be, though. Like, they make that decision. You make that decision. Okay, well, this has happened and it's not okay and I'm not happy with it, but my conscious decision is to not push forward and put charges on it. I'm accepting that this has happened and I'm moving on. And that is that. Door shut. Or I am not okay with this. I will not accept this. This person should be brought to justice and I'm going to make sure it happens. You make one decision or the other. You don't just make no decision at all, sit in the corner, and then 5 years later go, oh, look, all these other people are like doing this brave thing that I couldn't do, that I, didn't feel like I could do at the time, and now I'm going to go and do it. No, everybody needs to start taking responsibility for themselves and their own actions in their life. We spend too much time blaming other people and putting our shit on other people's back to carry. Time for everybody to start doing their own thing and taking responsibility for their own actions.
I agree.
All right. So that was a spirited debate.
Why is there not a spirited debate when you get me online?
Yeah. Zach, do you have anything else you want to comment on? Or
No, I've said what I need to say.
Yeah. I think I this is the one time I can say most of us, I think this is probably split. I don't think we all agree on this. I don't want to add any more into this, because we could go on for even another half hour debating back and forth about this. So but I obviously appreciate everyone's insight. Although I don't know about T gameplays, and the live chat says she's right. He's referring to you, Bella. Sounds like an ex-dev is hating on Detroit looking great. I'm pretty sure it's probably not what's going on.
No,
okay.
Look, I feel like I've come across very black and white there, and there is a lot of grey area that I'm not acknowledging. So I do want to say that, and particularly for this situation that Eric's talking about, this could be one of those things that's in that grey area where that black and white approach really doesn't work. But I don't know. I guess I deal with a lot of people putting their issues onto other people, or either.
Bella, don't get me wrong. Trust me, I don't get it, because I was like, yo, if that was me, there'd be some furniture moving around that office.
Yeah, first of all,
Eric, there is no way in the world anybody step up on your grill and not walk away with broken teeth.
Like when I heard the story, I was like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's going back to work. Like, what happened? That kind of, yeah. So I get it, but I'm also trying to understand, which I don't get it. Because like to me, he would have been downtown Friday evening. You know.
Yeah. I understand. I do
with
get
my,
like I
you
do
know,
get that
with
people
my
get
vampire
afraid. I
eyes,
get afraid sometimes. You know, it's easy to be scared and it's easy to have self-preservation kick in. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to allow something to happen and you're just going to accept it, then that's it. You've done it already. You've accepted it.
I think part of the
That's
problem,
it.
though, I think part of the problem, though, too, is that you have people in positions of power that leverage that power against you, and
you
then
can
make
always
it.
speak out against power, man.
You
Like,
can,
people-
but I
And
think
here's a situation. Here's a situation where you have now the power has shifted. Like you have someone who is in power who abused that power, but you're going to let that. This is exactly the problem. You let that power ride.
right.
What you've
But-
done
but-
now.
but
It's. I think I've used the example of if you walk past a house every day and there's a dog on the porch that every day chases you.
mm,
That dog's going to do that to you every day until you decide, you know what, I'm not running from you anymore.
I think that's I think that's again. I think it's easy to say that, but in the sense that like, and I go back to what we're seeing at the U.S. women's gymnastics team and this doctor. This is someone who was in a position of power, had access to people, and was very good at manipulating people and using that power to manipulate these individuals.
That's also
it's
preying. He's preying on like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, some of this is preying on the victims and the victims not knowing how to, maybe deal with these things. I think I don't think this is a black and white issue. I think there's a lot of different circumstances.
I think that these are two very different circumstances as well. We're talking about a sexual predator versus a toxic work environment.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at toxic work environments, let's just look at, I'm watching NBA right now. So look at the LA Clippers.
Yep.
When their former owner was out there talking about how
Oh, the racist owner.
Yeah. What happened? They got that ass up out of there, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you get to a point where shit's happening around you, you ain't gonna stand for it. And that's exactly what the LA Clippers did. All the players, I think the National Basketball Association, once they got wind of that, get your ass up out of here. Sell your team.
Right. He fought, but they were like, nah, fam, you out.
Nah, get your ass up out of here. You clown. You know what I mean? We're not accepting this. Sell your team and guess who owns them now? Steve Ballmer. So, you know what I mean? Like, you get to the point where you ain't gonna accept bullshit. And, you gotta be strong enough to come out and speak up against it. You can take over power. They made that man sell his own team.
For real.
Yeah. Well. All right, guys. Let's move on to the last taco of the evening. Did I say last taco?
You did say last taco.
That sounds all right.
Yeah, I did say last taco.
I love extra cute.
Yeah, right. I was waiting for her to say something. No, she not say anything. Just look. She was late today, and she's quiet right now. Surprised. She's still quiet. All right. So, So Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Fighter Z open beta. I have not been able to get into a server to play.
No, me neither. Yeah, you were talking about this earlier, and I was like, I should download and play this, and then I went to boot it up after work, and I just fucking sat at the menu page yelling, yeah, no.
Exactly. Like Zach, when you told me like you download, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go home and download it. And I think was I talking to you? No, I was talking to Eric. And I was like, okay, Eric, I've like tried 4 or 5 times, and I just can't get into a server. B, I think you might be the only one on the panel that's actually played the game. So please give us your thoughts.
I think Arc System Works is one of the most underrated developers when it comes to fighting games. I think they've put together some of the best technical fighters out there with Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue. And they've had a great fan base and really took over Evo a couple years back. They had one of the best fighting tournaments there with Blaze Blues. But with Dragon Ball Z Fighters, I think they're doing great fan service. All the great characters. It definitely looks like you're watching a show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the animation is great. The artwork is great. The sounds are great. my one critique of the game, I feel like it's too easy to play.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason that they did that is because it is like the biggest brand that they've ever worked with. Being Dragon Ball, so many people are interested in it, and they kind of took the formula of what we know Marvel vs. Capcom to kind of do. Marvel vs. Capcom isn't what most people expected this time around. So a lot more people are interested in Dragon Ball. But I think it's just too easy to play. Like you can get like crazy combos off by pressing like the same button over and over again.
That works for
So
me.
it's just like Blaze Blue.
Yeah, so it's kind of like if you ever played Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I think they had like an easy button mode or whatever, or like one combo or one hit or one button combos or whatever. So I usually like if I play my kids, I would put them on like the easy mode and I would just play like standard, just so they could feel like they were like being competitive or whatever. And that's kind of how Dragon Ball is. If you press like square 4 times, you can pull off like a 15 to 20 hit combo, and if you learn how to dash in the correct time or whatever, you can just continue doing that. So
like Final Fantasy, where all you need to do is hold the bumper and the triangle button and you're just golden for about an hour.
Yeah, so it's kind of like sure there's some deeper elements to the game beyond that, but on the surface it's definitely easier, definitely more welcoming to play. So you'll definitely have more people kind of play it at the start. But hoping that there's some deeper elements to it and a reason to kind of keep coming back to it. But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm okay with button mashing for fighters because I just don't play fighters.
See,
so I'm okay with
that.
I'm
a more technical fighter. That's why I kind of like Guilty Gear, and
he's gonna cop it if it's enhanced, man.
Yeah, he probably will. But I prefer my fighter to be more like that. You know what I mean? Like
so that actually requires some skill.
Yeah. You know what I mean? If we don't get on the battlefield, just like any other game, I'm super competitive. You guys know this. You played games with me before.
Yeah, we have played. Yes, we have played Destiny PvP with you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So like, if I'm going up against somebody, I want to be able to show off my skills, and I want them to be able to show off their skills too. And you know what I mean, we fight to the end and see who's best at it. So,
what's your highest KD in Destiny Crucible? B-Money?
I don't know. I mean, it's probably like 8, 9, something like that. Something crazy. Probably higher. I mean, I put in work.
She said you up, B.
I mean, I'm sure she's Bella's up there. You know what I mean? I ain't got her skills.
We played with her before, remember?
Yeah, we have. Yeah. My KD was better that time though. You know what I mean? I guarantee that.
That one game. That one game, that one time.
Oh no. But I prefer more competitive games where it takes skill. So
yeah, I hear you.
Anyone else play the beta? Bella, you're back. Have you played it?
No, I haven't played the beta. I haven't even looked into it. Basically, I'm just trying to push through as much ACO as I possibly can between now and Monster Hunter, because that's going to drop real soon. So we've got that pre-installed over here, and there's a lot happening real soon. So I'm not about wasting time on betas right now.
Gotcha. Well, I hope that I get an opportunity to get into a server.
I think it ends tomorrow, isn't it? Isn't the free open beta only 24 hours?
Yeah, 24 hours. Yeah.
People still can't get it. So how does this bode for the actual release of the game?
I mean, like terribly. And like the thing is, like, look, I like the art style. I was never into Dragon Ball, but like I like the art style. The gameplay trailers looked good, and if your beta was strong, you could have sold me the game, and it's not looking like that's going to be the case.
Who's making the game? Who's the development studio?
Arc System Works.
And how often do they have these kind of issues with their servers?
They don't.
So it's likely to be cleared up pretty quickly, yeah?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't stress, Enrique. It's not like we're dealing with Capcom, man. You should be fine.
Good old Capcom.
Hey, Bella, apparently that arcade edition is lit now.
Right?
Yeah, I heard
that arcade edition is
awesome,
clean, man. I've been playing arcade edition. since it released, man. And arcade edition is dope, man.
Hey, big shout out to Kratos, by the way. Did you see his stick setup?
Nah, man, but Kratos is crazy. He got the craziest Thrustmaster setup, man. I definitely want to implement it.
It's really lucky that I know you're talking about a bloody steering wheel right now, because that just check out his stick set. It's got a great Thrustmaster. What the fuck?
Yeah, his Forza like setup, like his whole racing setup is he had helmets and shit, and like it just I was blown away.
Man.
Yo, Jay don't play around, man.
I'm like, no one should ever call this guy. It's funny, like people are like, oh, he's a Sony putty. No, that guy games and he games hard. I mean, I was blown away for what I saw. You know, props to him. So, yeah, I'm not gonna get into Street Fighter 5 arcade. It's just not. No, I'm not doing that. I can't. I just can't get into fighters. It's not my thing. You know. Yeah, I know you guys.
You try. It's kind of funny. Just like run into a corner, like flail in a corner. I'm like, no, you need to be facing this way.
Yeah, that's just not. Yeah, it's not my thing. So, but I do.
You gotta get in some of that Street Fighter 5 and check it, man. I've been meaning to jump on that with you.
Yeah, man, you gotta let me know. I'm always willing to.
Wait, do you guys? Both of you guys have sticks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one a couple of months ago.
Oh, you guys should like stream that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see who would win in the Battle of Tekken.
I'm kind of nice, man. I'm gonna let E get his practice on first, man.
I gotta get in the lab a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him get in the lab first.
I'll let y'all.
Gotta get in the lab.
Yeah, I gotta get in the lab. You know.
Yeah, too funny. So
put my hands on one of these bots for a minute.
You know, it's funny. I'll never forget. On Xbox Live and this is back on the OG Xbox when Street Fighter came to Xbox Live, and for the first time, and I remember, man, you could pick regions where you'd want to go play, and you go to Japan and you get into a match with someone and you say hello and nothing on the other end, right? The game would start and they would. I mean, just you were done. It wasn't even fair. It wasn't even fair.
But I tell you what, Big Money, my Chun-Li's got something for you.
Oh. Okay.
Whenever you're ready, Bells.
Sounds like a challenge.
Challenge.
You guys need to stream this. I need to. Oh, I will say this though. I'll give Bells props because I remember being in party chats and people talking smack to her on was it Blaze Blues?
Blaze Blue and getting their asses hands.
Oh, give it to them. And we'd be in a party chat and she would just give it to them.
I'd let them talk up their trash and then absolutely hand them their ass and be like, "What up? Where was that game you said you were bringing?"
Oh my goodness, and I remember they were like, it's like, and it's almost like they didn't learn their lesson. Like one guy would go down, someone else would come in and talk trash, and you would take it down. It was just hilarious. It was hilarious.
Rolls in there with Bari and Persona, man. People need to do their homework first.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know, real gamers over there. They get on their sticks, man.
Yeah. So do your homework, people. Do your homework.
Yes, do your homework.
No, don't do your homework. Challenge me.
I'd really like to see you, B Money and Bells, like you guys take it up on Street Fighter. Like definitely, I would watch that. I would love to see that in a stream. You guys got to do that. Make it happen.
Come on, Enrique. Come up. Put your quarter down on the dash.
Yeah, man. You got to put your quarter up, man.
Yeah, I got next. Put my quarter down.
Those are the days, man.
Those were the days. Yeah. The arcades. I mean, I'll never forget going to Street Fighter, and I remember the big cabinets.
Yeah. Anybody? Yeah. You remember the I think the first Street Fighter arcade cabinet had like the big rubber buttons that you would slam on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah, those were the days. Those were the days.
Quarters into that joint.
Those were the days.
When Tekken 3 finally came to arcades, man.
Oh man.
Goodness. Good times, man.
Hey, Zach, I'm sorry. Zach, I'm sorry. We're dating ourselves here, man. I remember when Mortal Kombat hit the arcades. I mean, that was a game changer.
Damn.
Oh man, Tekken 1 and 2 on PS1.
Yeah, man.
Remember a Virtual Fighter? Woo!
I wish
No,
Virtual
we're going
Fighter
back
would come
that far.
back.
I'm calling Summer and Winter Olympics on the Commodore 64.
Oh my goodness.
Floppy or on the tape?
Oh, the tape deck. That tape we had to wind back the pencil and shit.
Yeah, man.
You have a rewind, had to pull the tape out, wind it back with a pen.
Man,
that
that
shit
is,
back. It's
that
nuts,
is
dude.
old school, man. God dang.
That is too funny. That is old school. Commodore 64. Wow. So I was telling you guys earlier about my brother-in-law has got that arcade cabinet with all his games.
Mm-hmm.
He also has like SNK versus Capcom. It's ridiculous. I don't even think he knows what he has.
Oh, that's
On
a
that
classic, man.
Yeah,
I want Nintendo to bring that back, man.
Yeah. There's a few series that need to make a comeback. NBA, like, I think you said the other day, NBA Street.
Oh man, if they just bring it back with Uncle Drew, man. Let Kyrie bring it back. Let him be the face of it.
Mhm.
And
See,
bring it back.
NBA Street would be great. I'd love to see that come back because that entire franchise got us all super excited when they brought out Playgrounds, and it was just fucking trash.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
and I can't figure
Really
out.
disappointed it.
The NBA is more popular now than it's ever been. You have some of the biggest stars ever. I mean, that game would print money. Or maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just having to pay that license. Maybe
Licensing,
I don't know. But oh my God, can you imagine NBA Street playing like Steph Curry and LeBron?
Yeah, man.
Come on, man. KD.
Yeah, it would become its own currency overnight.
The kids would eat that up.
Oh yeah, they definitely would.
Hell, we would eat that
That's
up.
what I'm saying. I mean, we're there. I'm saying we're there. But yeah, that thing would be printing money, man.
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up the podcast this evening. But yeah, great. As always, great conversation in the live chat. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by and hanging out with us tonight. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Oh, you've become one of those dudes. Just remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, comment and subscribe.
I never thought the day would happen that you became one of them dudes.
You know what? I'm trying to grow this thing. I'm trying to,
You're a like me dude. A like me dude. Please like me.
Please. And you know what? Hit the bell too, so you get a notification when new content comes up. So, oh, by the way, he's
going in, man.
I'm going in. Hey, real quick, I just want to say
he's gonna have like plugins. He'll be like, "There's gonna be a new thing that'll pop up on the screen. It's gonna have your username and everything." He'll be like, "Thank you so much. The Brock Podcast loves you. That's why we love you for your like. Thank you so much. Next time you get a free shout out."
Hey, real quick, man, I just want to say something. Like, we were talking about my 3-year-old the other day. How he's obsessed with Sith Lords.
Good boy.
Yeah, so Zach, my 3-year-old is a big Star Wars fan, right?
Okay.
He just happens to be a fan of the Sith. And
cool.
I don't understand.
That doesn't seem troubling.
I mean, like, should I be worried? I mean, seriously, for Halloween, he was Darth Vader. Insisted on being Darth Vader for Halloween, right? And we got him the red lightsaber, the outfit, and then he says to me, "Daddy, for Halloween this year, I'm going to paint my face red. I want to be Darth Maul."
Darth Maul, baby. Let's go.
Okay.
And so
Halloween's about scary monsters, right? You don't want to be Luke Skywalker. You ain't scaring shit being Luke Skywalker.
so I was telling Eric this, and Eric's like, "Man, you might want to get on top of that."
No, it was like that with like the other stuff he was doing in the background. I was like, "Yo, man, you need to go talk to him."
Yeah, you know what? When we were playing PUBG, I do remember him saying in the background, "Why don't you shoot him?"
Yeah.
So exactly. I do remember. Yeah. Then I was like, "Please don't." Yeah. No. So Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's watched me play Destiny. He's watched me play PUBG. And you're right, Zach. He came downstairs. He sat next to me. He's like, "Why don't you shoot him? Is he a bad guy?" I don't know if you remember him saying that. Is he a bad guy?
Yeah. Yeah, and like you were explaining, like, no, he's on my team. And he's like, "You should shoot him."
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, let me shoot Zach."
How old is he?
He's 3. He's gonna be 4 in March.
Okay, so do we think that maybe letting him sit down and watch PUBG and Destiny might be perpetuating this kind of behavior? And is there maybe some daddy lessons that you could take away from this scenario?
Well, here's the thing. So, it came to it came full circle for me today when he had like some kind of like yarn or something. I don't know, something he made at school. He goes, "Hey, Daddy, look what I made you." I go, "What is it?" He goes, "It's a gun." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I'm sure they would really love to see that at school.
Yeah, I feel like Pokemon, like maybe the Wiggles. I don't know, like kid stuff should be what he's doing.
So, but it's really weird. So my mom's
at the age of 3.
My mom's like, get on my case about this. So she's like, oh, he's got to stop watching Star Wars and all this other crap, and he's got to stop sitting down watching video games with you. And so fine. So she put on Frozen, right? She put on the movie Frozen, and and I'm like, he's not gonna watch it. Yes, and he sat down there, he was glued to it. And my mom's like, see?
Expose that child to more children stuff. Let him be a child while he's a child. Before you know it, we're grown up. We're adults. We have to do adulting every single day. We have no option but to have responsibilities and shit. Let him be a child now. Just let him be a child.
I let him play Mario. Like he's been playing ARMS. ARMS is actually a lot of fun, by the way. Like I didn't realize that.
So I think ARMS is a dope concept, but after classes and work for 8 hours, I don't know if I'm gonna come and wiggle around my apartment.
Yeah,
you put it like that.
I don't know. I'm not about to I'm just not. I'm not doing the used car salesman inflatable dude blowing in the wind. I'm not ready to do that.
That would be a great concept for a game.
Yeah. But no, ARMS is cool. I think, and see that's kind of, it's the same thing with the other Switch announcement from today, right? Is there's a lot of really great stuff on Switch already, but there's also a ton of great stuff on Switch if you've got kids, and so I think there are tons of options, and there's tons of kid stuff that's not teaching your kid how to punch. No, I mean,
right? Not teaching them the technique of how to strangle somebody with just 2 fingers to the throat.
But ARMS is cute and goofy, and it's definitely designed for that younger audience. I don't know. I think it's fine, but I mean, clearly, maybe he's got to be off that PUBG grind for a little bit,
Yeah, Zach, and I actually forgot that he was sitting next to me and you heard him talking. And,
yeah. I mean, it was only for a brief moment because you were really trying to discourage it, but yeah. No. I mean, I don't know. It's probably fine. It's probably just some phase thing.
It's fine. I mean, just leave him around 2-year-olds and cats.
But I just remember him saying, "Shoot Zach." I'm like, it's my teammate. I can't shoot. But he really wanted me to shoot you.
Yeah, he just wanted that immediate feedback of me just dying horribly. Yeah. Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah. So no more PUBG and Destiny for him.
Yeah.
And maybe no more Star Wars. Maybe.
Oh man.
Yeah, maybe just for a little bit. You know what I mean? The problem is, it's the identifying with villains part, right? It's not it's not the Star Wars. If he's oh, Luke Skywalker's the shit, or Han Solo or Princess Leia, that's not a problem. It's the the ones that do all of the slaughter. Those are my heroes. Maybe not that one.
Yeah, that's what worries me a little bit. The whole Darth Vader thing, and then
but Maul's pretty cool. I'll give him Darth Maul. That's a pretty cool character to get into.
Yeah, but then he wants to sword fight me. He's like, all right, I'm Darth Vader, and you're Luke Skywalker. You're my son. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Checks out. Cool.
That's not cool. That's not how this works. I might have my hands full. He also has an 8-year-old brother too, so that's the other thing.
Yeah.
So his 8-year-old's really into, Star Wars and now the Marvel universe. He's into comics.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. He's seeing stuff from the 8-year-old. But anyhow,
I'm not seeing a problem with him.
Charging you.
I think it'll be fine.
Bella's gonna start charging me for therapy.
Yeah, I'm getting my checkbook out.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I have a 3-year-old daughter, so it's she shimmer, I'm shine. So deal with that.
That's better than Sith Lords, man.
So yeah.
That's better than Sith Lords. So I got to talk to you, B Money, man. We got to chat later.
Oh, all right. No.
Let that man live, Enrique. Let him be a Sith.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. So, we're gonna call this a wrap. Well, again, thank you everyone in the live chat. I'm not gonna do the whole rundown with the whole liking thing and everything because
you've just been criticized for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Feeling the shame.
Yeah, Bell's gonna shame me. So, but I just want to say a big thank you to Zach for coming on, man. I definitely appreciate your time, and we've been trying to get you on for quite some time now. So I'm glad that it worked out, man. It's great having you on.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm really happy to be here, and yeah, it's funny we were talking earlier today and this week about in January there's not always a lot of gaming news, but just today alone, in the last couple of days, we finally got some stuff to talk about, which is great. No, it's nice chatting and just hanging out. It's good.
Yeah, and Zach, let us know. Let our viewers know where they can find you too, man.
Sure. Yeah. So I do a little bit of writing over at bearclawgaming.com. It's just a personal blog where I write about games sometimes. Otherwise, on Twitter at bearclawgaming. But then also on Thursdays, you can catch me on Super Deformed Gamescast with our podcast. We're not quite ready to talk about it yet, but we're doing some interesting pivots that I think we're ready to announce next week. So kind of keep an eye on that if that's your jam. But yeah, otherwise, thanks for everybody in the chat. It's been fun talking around these subjects. It's been good.
All right, man. Thank you, man. I definitely appreciate it again. And I'm interested to see what you guys have going on at STGC too. So it's a great podcast. If you guys aren't following the folks over at Super Deformed Gamecast, definitely give them a follow. Very insightful. And they typically have some really good industry guests on too. So definitely check them out. Bella, thank you again for joining us. I know it was last minute today. Appreciate your time. Always great having you on.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yep, and please no one challenge her in Blaze Blues. You don't want to do that.
Everybody challenge me.
No, you don't want to do that. It's I've heard the embarrassment. So, where can people find you, Bills?
In Australia.
Okay.
So I'm the director and the editor-in-chief at Real Game Media through www.realgamemedia.com, at Miss Bella on Twitter, Real Game Media on Facebook. It's pretty much all social medias everywhere. Look under Real Game Media and you'll find me there. Outside of that, I'm going to be going live with the Real Game Media podcast this weekend as well. So you can catch me and some of my cohorts there. Hopefully Eric, because I haven't told him about this yet, but you need to be available on Saturday. So yeah.
Throw that out there real quick.
Saturday.
It's like, yeah, just let Rose know. And if she's got a problem, just tell her I'll babysit Sarah.
It's wifey's birthday.
Oh, no, that's all right. She has one of those every year. You'll be fine.
Oh, man.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, E, go ahead and try that, E.
Yeah, nah, man.
Your wife will give you a bad look.
No, she give more than a bad look.
Exactly, it'd be more than that, man.
It's okay. It's for Bella. She'll be like, well, if it's for Bella.
She loves you to death, but
that might start a whole nother argument, though.
You know what I'm saying?
In there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's not an argument I have to have. So he's going to have to deal with that. It's not my problem, is all I'm saying.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Eric Jackson, B Money, as always, gentlemen, thank you. Always a pleasure having you on and talking video games with you guys, man.
No doubt, man.
Yeah.
Of course.
Sorry I was late, but definitely happy I was able to still jump in.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, you know what? You guys got to pick up PUBG.
I got PUBG.
Why?
I'm not
I got enough broken ass fucking games on my hard drive.
Man. I gotta wait till it's done.
All right.
I'm with you, man.
I tried. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's so sticky.
Oh,
hang on. No, it's not.
Just gift it.
Yeah. So
you say, yeah. Keep it moving.
Yeah. All right. So thank you again to our guest tonight. We'll be back next week. Next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
See how you sidestepped that, B?
Yeah, exactly.
But
hey, shout out to Nintendo, man. That Robo Kid is number 2 on bestsellers right now, man. Go spend that $70. Robo Kid is number 2 right now.
Is it really?
Like I just said, man, Nintendo is winning 2018, man. Holla at me.
I won't bet against them, man. Nintendo could, they're literally putting up that hole. You can sell ice igloos, ice Eskimos.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? This cardboard.
Oh my goodness.
End up being number 1 on Amazon.
That's crazy. That's number 2 on Amazon. I can't fathom that. But hey, more power to them. That's great. Great for Nintendo.
Don't bet against them, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to. And B, you're not the only one that thinks that. Matt Piscatello, who we've had on the show from MPDs, he said that as much. That he thinks Nintendo's going to take 2018. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I also eat shrooms.
Jeez. All right, everyone. So we'll be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Basement Radio K podcast. Until then, everyone have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun gaming. Remember, have fun. Because guess what gaming's all about? See you guys later. Peace.
This has been another Brat podcast.